So many tabs open in my browser. trying to get my everything squared away. Hi everybody. Welcome to the CoinGeek weekly live stream. I know I'm on the air right now. I was not caught off guard because that doesn't happen to me because I'm a professional. How's everybody doing? I'm Kurt Wuckert Jr. You are guest this week because this is an Ask Me Anything show or an Ask Kurt Anything show, hashtag AKA. That is so lame. So if you're watching live, please forgive me for my dad jokes, because now I'm a dad of 3 and they just sort of stream out of me in ways that I wish they wouldn't. But I find myself constantly giving like softball puns to people, and that's my life now. So Lord forgive me, and you forgive me, please. If you're watching live, please send this around the social medias. Say, hey everybody, if you'd like to hop into the troll box, Kurt doesn't have a guest today. Not that we have any problems with getting guests, but every like 3rd to 5th show, I really like to do an Ask Me Anything and really just kind of drill into your questions, comments, blessings, cursings, gripes, or gropes, because I want to have it be an open floor, an open forum, and break into the Socratic method, as it were, and talk about the things that matter to you, because the things that matter to me don't always matter to everybody else. I'm a little bit uncommon that way, but as a libertarian, I like to open the floor and hear the views of the audience. So if you would like to contribute your thoughts out to the world, this is the place to do it, or at least the troll box is the place to do it, which I think is physically over here if you're looking on the YouTube. I think you can also comment on like X or Facebook, and that will also like filter its way into the chat box that we can see. And if not, well, that's the best we can do. So but I think the easiest place to do it is YouTube. You can usually argue with Face about stuff that's mostly off topic, but since he's one of our most loyal viewers, we let him talk about whatever stuff people in New York like to talk about instead of paying attention to the show. So if you're one of those people, please like, subscribe, hit the alert bell. Let us know how you feel. Let us know how you feel about Kurt and Bitcoin and everything else. I want to do a little bit of a pay the bills and say my thanks. The show is produced completely live from South Florida. We have Alex Vidal at Costly Signals on X at the producer's table. He is spinning the tunes, both metaphorically and in some cases physically, rocking and rolling, because he's actually quite a talented musician. If you don't know, you should check his stuff out. Alex, feel free to link to Free Knots if that's something you want to promote too. But I don't know if you guys get to listen to a whole lot of libertarian themed hip hop outside of like your Wu-Tangs and stuff. But if you're super into the music scene and the libertarian scene, you should probably be a Free Knots fan also. They are not sponsoring the show. I'm literally just a fan and talking about what I want to. When we do talk about sponsors, it's key, first of all, for us to mention Rock Wallet, who is actually monetarily sponsoring this show. So thank you, Rock Wallet. If you are one of the people in the blockchain space who wants to trade between the 6 to 8 coins out there that have any liquidity at all. So that's your BTC and ETH, Litecoin, Bitcoin Cash, BSV also, and a few stable coins. I think it's Tether and USDC. And then coming very, very soon, or maybe just announced, Money, that is the MNEE stable coin, produced in collaboration with various people in the BSV ecosystem, but also available on a blockchain near you. I think actually it is rolled out or rolling out first on the Ethereum blockchain because, again, liquidity matters. But the idea is if it filters its way out to the rest of the blockchain ecosystem, then there is one money to rule us all and go across all the networks. Sort of like how Tether does, except hopefully with a little more trust and provenance than trying to trust Mr. Stuart Hoegner and the other gambling tycoons that run the Tether empire. So, Rock Wallet, thank you for your sponsorship. I appreciate you very much. We will play their ad before I run out of breath for the first time and need to wet my whistle, and it'll be a good thing for everybody. But I also want to give a shout out to the Champions TCG folks. The comment of the day. So if you are, and little hint, being funny is much more likely to get you the comment of the day, at least in my opinion. So Alex has a tendency, despite the fact he's a funny guy himself, he has a tendency to pick comments that are engaging and create better conversation. But I would typically go toward the thing that makes me go hee-haw and slap the knee fastest. That would be the thing that I would generally pick. So if you can make me laugh, that puts you in very strong contention to be the comment of the day. We will also play a meme of the week probably toward the end of the show, unless again I need a wet whistle break in the middle of the show. But the Champions TCG people, anyways, to mention them, they have also been so kind to sponsor the show with not money directly, but with gifts bestowed upon the viewers and the listeners of the show. If you are so brave as to comment and receive the coveted comment of the day accommodation, you will receive one pack. Yes, that's right, a full pack from the Champions TCG team. It doesn't come from us, it comes from them, so thank you to them. It is a delight to work with them. Miles and Brett were a guest a number of weeks back, and they are some of my very favorite people to have on the show. So since I do not have a guest, and since this is largely going to be me jabber-jawing, like mewing, trying to work on my jaw muscles here, it would be very nice, it would be appreciated, it would be quite kind of you if you would fill the troll box with your questions. So if you have a burning question about Bitcoin, I'd also talk about the politics of the season, given that it's an election year and it's the most important election of our lifetimes. I'd be very happy to talk about whatever's going on in the culture or around the world. We can talk about the military-industrial complex or our lizard overlords if we must. But I would be very, very happy if you could keep things relatively focused on Bitcoin, because that's the typical audience. But I will venture into all kinds of other things as well, to fill the space. So I'm going to take my first whistle-whetting break as we let the Rock Wallet ad roll, and we'll be back in like 30 seconds. Hello, everybody. All right, let's start the questions rolling, and I will do my best to answer that. I really have to stop doing this weird, like, mid-Atlantic. It's not British, but it's also not American. It's like that. I'm a rich guy, and I have a place in New York and a place in London. I think that's that accent. So it's quite bully. All right, stopping. Deep breath. Reset. Alex Fidel, please put up the first question. We're going to start to answer these. John looks like a Polish name. Kulesha? I probably got that wrong. Are projects being built on top of BTC like OPNET, TAP, and Fractal Bitcoin good or bad for BSV? Could these projects lead the masses to BSV? Okay, I've talked about this one before. I've talked about it in public. I've talked about it with friends. I've talked about it with people that think I'm a BSV maximalist. I kind of am, but at the same time, I'm also just a Bitcoin maximalist. So I'm gonna make an analogy to start. I used to work in missionary work a bit when I was quite a bit younger. So I talk a lot about communism on social media, and people are like, "Man, you're really quick to call people communists, Kurt." It's like, well, I've dealt with people from communist countries, and speaking of Polish last names and stuff, my wife is Polish, so I've got great grandmas that come to the dinner table and have like gulag tattoos and missing fingers and that kind of thing. Talking about the problems of communism. But I've worked in missions where I've worked alongside people that were sort of refugees from the old Soviet Union. I've worked with North Korean refugees. I've worked with people from Sudan. I was part of I was not operational in this particular one, but I was working with a Bible smuggling mission into the Sudan during their civil war about 25 years ago, back when it was not uncommon to see people get skinned, or women have their breasts cut off as a way to make sure that the children were all starving to death. Like terrible, terrible things going on in Africa. So missions work is not for the faint of heart. I've done a bit of it. All this is so I'm not doing this just to talk about myself. The point is that the goal of missions work is for these people to establish both functional local churches and local functional communities by kind of showing them like, hey guys, here's how plumbing works. Here's how you can build like a school. Like here's some basics about like plumbing, farming, sanitation, basic medical, like that kind of thing. You give people like a 50-year jump from living their terrible lives, and you give them this opportunity to be better. And the point of that is for the betterment of the world, for the betterment of those people. And in the case of churches, it's for like the growth of, giving glory to Jesus Christ. And, there's the ethereal stuff, and then there's the very practical stuff, like here's how you wash food so you don't all get dysentery. But ultimately, the point is that we just want that place to become a better place, especially over time. So you give people the tools to be better, and then they become better and increasingly better, because ultimately we want them to be contributing members back to the church and back to society generationally. I don't even mean the people that we're giving it to, but it would be like, how cool would it be if your children 40 years from now are also missionaries and they're making the world a better place in the ways that make sense to them? So as an analogy, I like to think of this the same way. Like BSV is like a little church. We are a small group of people with very big ideas and a lot of passion. We think our ideas are the best, and we are willing to debate them with people. We're willing to cross enemy lines and explain like, hey guys, did you know Bitcoin could do all these amazing things that you're missing out on? We think you're doing Bitcoin wrong. And if you would just give us a chance, we could show you how to do Bitcoin right. And wouldn't that be better for the world? And by the way, you can come hang out with us on our network, right? That's great. All of that is good stuff. The problem, as I see it, is that whereas in the faith, I want other churches to grow and I want them to become independent. But in Bitcoin, where it's kind of a winner take all, we're trying to spread like a virus, right? Now, if BTC adopts our ideas, so if they take the things that make BSV special, is that good for BSV? Maybe not good for BSV. Like as a BSV investor, like if you're the kind of person that only holds BSV coins because you think only BSV can do these things that really matter, that's pretty rough. If BTC takes our good ideas and they make the world a better place with them, like that's good. The thing that has always upset me about BTC is the culture of BTC. It's the toxicity. It's the have fun staying poor. It's the the F the white paper kind of guys. Like that stuff is all really bad. But if all of a sudden the culture of BTC changes to, hey, wow, computation up in Bitcoin script is really cool, and wow, you can bootstrap a virtual machine, and wow, you can fuel this with transactions, like that's all pretty exciting. Now I would look like a pretty bitter sourpuss if BTC came to my side of the aisle, if they adopted my good ideas and I was like, well, yeah, but I didn't also get rich at the same time because they didn't do it on my network. And this is why I've told people since the very beginning, if you can, it's probably wise to hedge your bets from an investment standpoint in a 1-to-1-to-1 ratio, BTC, BCH, and BSV, because at that point, it doesn't really matter which network wins. If some aspect of the Bitcoin basket is adopted globally and works because big blocks, unbounded script, like higher level computation and like happening in the stack and all these other things, that's good. We all win. That's good for Bitcoin. It's good if BTC people become big blockers and BTC becomes a big block blockchain. The only thing that sucks is if you're only holding BSV and BTC moves our direction. I actually talked about this in my article this week. So I talked about investing generally, very generally. Sort of explain like what are we investing in. Then I talk about the history of investing, how that started with the what do you call it? The Dutch East India Company, which is a 500-year-old company, or 4.500-year-old company now. Company. And and they were in the trade business. They connected East-West trade, and they were like, hey man, we can issue parts of our company to other people. We can spread risk around. We can grow easier. We can do all this other cool stuff. But the investing, thank you, Alex Vidal. Yeah, the beauty of it is like, cool. This allowed industrial capitalism to change the face of the world. Now I talk a little bit about Bitcoin at the end of this article, where I'm explaining like, look, to invest is to try to be ahead of the curve. Now, BSV has been ahead of the curve for a very long time. We've been 5 or 6 years ahead of everybody else in the blockchain space, but we have had very low liquidity. We have not had a lot of outside interest in public investment. We have had a lot of people stealing our ideas for a long time. And I say stealing very, very generically. Most of this stuff is open source. Like it's ripe to be given to the world, but it makes it pretty risky to just be a BSV holder. And I have been saying this since the beginning. There's all these people that, this one guy who likes to bring up opportunity cost to you like all the time. And I'm like, guys, I've been saying since day one, don't split your Bitcoin, hold all forks. And then no matter who wins, we get to be victorious in the victory based on the idea, because the ideas of Bitcoin is the thing that matters. Now, I know very practically that matters if, whether or not you can put food to your mouth. So I also say most people shouldn't be investing in Bitcoin at all. Most people have debt problems, spending problems. They're not good at managing their own, just their basic finances, let alone a portfolio. And so in full clarity, I would be bummed out to see BTC win the big game by quote unquote stealing all of BSV's good ideas. I don't think that's going to happen. I think fractal Bitcoin and OPNET and all this other stuff going on, like, it's interesting, but I think the entrenched powers over there don't want that to happen. They want all kinds of other things to be happening that they're making money on. It's what's good for the controllers of the portfolios, your BlackRocks, your A16Z, these shells that are around companies like Andreessen Horowitz or Peter Thiel's money, like this kind of thing. And so it's been kind of a long answer, but it would be good for the world if BTC adopt BSV's good ideas. It would not really be good for BSV's hyper loyal investors. But I've been saying since day one, don't split your coins. Satoshi Nakamoto didn't split his coin. It doesn't matter to him if BTC, BCH, or BSV adopts these ideas, because he holds all forks by default. It's very important to hold all forks by default from an investment standpoint, from a portfolio management standpoint. It is the number one way to have a conservative, low risk, which is already, it's high risk because it's Bitcoin. But if you want to reduce your risk, that's what that looks like. So sorry if that's disappointing, but I don't know if I could have been saying it any louder for the last couple of years. But the best ideas are in BSV. So I'm excited to see them sort of trickling into BTC, but I am bummed out because I myself am I have a lopsided BSV portfolio myself. So it's, one of those things. I've invested a lot of money and time into like Gorilla Pool and some of these other things. Like my heart and a lot of my capital is in the BSV ecosystem. So I'm very much on that boat too, but people should be holding a little bit of the other forks as well. And that's my position. Oh, I pronounced it correctly. I'm glad to hear it, John. Thank you. So let's bust into the second. Oh, is Duro Dogs ever? Duro Dogs was a project by, I'm going to screw this up. I keep wanting to say Unbounded Capital because it's a few of the same people, but that is not the name of the company that put out Duro Dogs. It is Asset Layer now, but they weren't called Asset Layer when Duro Dogs came out. So, or wait, are they not Asset Layer? So I've screwed this all up entirely. I have no idea if Duro Dogs is coming back. I liked Duro Dogs though. I had a few dogs and they had their treats and their toys. So I don't know. You'll have to, you should reach out to Jackson Lasky, who I believe was the guy in charge of that operation. But yeah, that would be my advice. Ask Mr. Lasky about it. Next one, please. GM Fulcrum Source, my dear friend Jay. And let's see what we got here. More questions, sir. I think 100% of the chat has a lopsided BSV portfolio. Yeah, probably. It's difficult because if you weren't like a Bitcoin OG, To say, somebody that had Bitcoin before August of 2017, then you had to go out and buy the forks, right? You had to buy your BCH, you had to buy your BSV or whatever. You had to go out and very proactively buy coins. And frankly, at this point, with the price of BTC running away, it becomes more difficult to do over time. And so, that's a whole thing. So, it's likely, given the audience, that we do have a number of people that are lopsided BSV. Hooligan, what are your biggest health tips for muscle gain and staying lean? Well, man, that's a hard one because it's a lot of things. I really wish it was an easy formula, and it turns out it's like a whole lifestyle. So I think the thing is fall in love with the grind. Actually, like you need to stay active. So fall in love with doing something active, whether that's like going out and playing street basketball every day or just going for a walk, which is quite a good thing for you. For me, I really like Brazilian jiu-jitsu, but that's not for everybody. And I like to go on long walks. So I walk at least an hour a day. It's been really hard as it's been really hot here in South Florida, but I try to do it in the early morning or in the evenings. So that's a really good way to sort of get your calories out, like keep your body burning. For muscle gain, man, it's hypertrophy. I've got a whole set. I don't think I can easily show my setup, but actually right over my left shoulder, I have a cable machine for it lets me do pull downs and rows, and I can put a bench on it and then I can push up. I also have a incline bench directly behind me, and then I've got my adjustable dumbbells. So I have dumbbells that adjust from 11 pounds to 55, and with an adjustable bench and dumbbells, you can do like 90% of all the movements you could possibly do in a week. Like a week workout. So I think of my workouts in systems of a week. So you do like chest and shoulders day, and then you do an arm day, you do a back day, you do a leg day, and then I do a full body day, which is a very different workout. So 4 days I do hypertrophy, which is like slow eccentric motion, and then like bring it into flex, like that kind of thing. And then deep stretches. So a deep stretch at the bottom of a motion, like you want to feel your muscles physically do the stretch. That's how you're going to grow muscle fiber. And then you want to train until near failure. So you want to be trembling and very difficult to finish that last rep or two. Like that is one working set. And if you're not doing that, you're not building muscles. You might be activating your muscles. You might be keeping your muscles healthy, which is also key if you don't intend to build muscle. But if you want to build muscle, you really need to focus on hypertrophy. And then on Fridays, I usually go full body and more of a HIIT workout, which is high intensity training, like full body. I'm basically like sweating like a pig by the end of that workout. But just make it a thing. Like put it on the schedule, just like anything else. Like, hey, I have to eat a couple meals a day. I also have to work out. I have to go to work. Like put it on your calendar to do a workout. Now, the rest of it, staying lean, is a totally different thing. Staying lean is all about your diet. It's calories in, calories out. You can stay lean eating entirely a diet of Twinkies if you keep your calories below your maintenance level. I don't recommend that because if you want to be building muscle, you need good protein, good fat, good carbohydrates, and various other things. So it's a whole process. But this is why I'm saying this has already been a 5-minute answer. It's a whole system of stuff. Put it on the calendar. Be systematic about it. Write down your food. Write down your workouts. Aim for progressive progress on both your weight and your volume, your time, calories, and your macros, and all your other stuff. But pretty quickly, it starts to turn into a full-time job. And but ultimately, if you don't have your health, you have very little. So get on it. So thanks for the question. Appreciate it. Let's take another one. Any idea when the OnlyFans style platform is launching on BSV? Do you mean what is it? It's the Instagram style one. It is they changed the name of this too. I forgot. I talked to Daniel Street the other day, the CEO, and I forget the name of his company. Essentially, God, what is it? I can even picture their logo. I just can't LaMint. Thank you, Brett. Jeez. Okay. It was called something else before it was LaMint, which is what screws me up. But yes, LaMint is Relica. That's what it used to be called. See, now I need to start the nutrition for brain health. So, yeah, no. So LaMint, Relica became LaMint, and it's now mutating into like Instagram fun influencer stuff to like, all right, guys, we're gonna do porn. All right. So that's the direction that's going, and that's fine by me. For, it's their business, but they are launching imminently, as I understand it, but I'm sure they've got to work out some of the details on like, hey, we know you were enjoying this platform for what it is, but unless you're going to show us the goods, maybe you need to go somewhere else. So I don't know how that works. I don't know what their business is up to, but that's an option. There was also one coming out of the dojo. They were called Cesire is what I think they were called. I can read it. I don't know that I ever heard anybody say it. Also a cool idea, similar concept to what LaMint is going for, but I don't know if they've ever launched anything. I don't know how real that actually is. So I did know a couple people involved with that who were from the States, but they have become much more devout Christians and have left that industry. And so that's quite an interesting pivot that went on there too. But actually, speaking of the dojo, I'm going to pivot just a little bit. There was a UFC deal announced with the startup that is now doing Combat IQ. So Combat IQ is the name of this company that is using the BSV blockchain to catalog moves and break down with data science, like the very best way to win fights or how to make books, like this kind of thing. So super excited to see that. But they signed a deal with the UFC sometime over the last, they may have signed it months ago, but they have announced it over the last week or two, and pretty exciting stuff. So the dojo looks like it has a very successful startup on its hands. And that has gone all the directions it could go. So Alex, next question. Okay. I see the KENDU people. I see the KENDU chat is busting out here. Again, I don't get into investment advice. I have paid attention to the KENDU because I see the comments on my threads all the time. So thank you for letting me know that there is yet another dog to invest in on a blockchain. But yes, KENDU, I have looked into it just a little bit, and it's about as interesting as every other dog project as far as I see it, which means it's probably going to be a massive pump, and make sure you sell your coins at the top, I guess. So that's about all I have to say about it. If they're telling you anything else is going to happen with that project, pretty aggressive, but I'm happy for you guys. I'm happy for anybody that makes money on it. Okay, so yeah, KENDU Army. I'm allergic to high gas fee. Yes, as am I. Most high gas prices discourage economic activity, productivity, growth. So let's bust into some. I know we've got more questions here. We've got a lot of nice comments and feedback, especially this KENDU, which is not sponsoring the show. You could sponsor us. That's the thing. Is anyone aware of hardware wallet that supports BSV? There's a few. There's EliPal. There is the... Man, do I actually have a memory problem? Like, I'm starting, like, is there something wrong with my brain? I'm suddenly... EliPal, thank you. No, there's a few. There's one that's based on a card, like a metal card, and it's like tap to pay and has a phone app, and they're not BSV people, but they have BSV built into it. And then there is also there was one that I worked with the guys, and they were struggling to keep their node in sync, so I was not able to promote them the way I would have liked to, but they actually had a really cool product that just didn't work very well with BSV. Everybody wants to run their own node, and then we got to have that conversation. So there's a few out there. But instead of going into all the ways you can spend more money on a device that will hold your BSV, I'm going to take one step back. If you have a smartphone that is no longer in use, or even if you don't, go buy an Android smartphone. Go buy the cheapest Android smartphone that you can find. Okay? Probably get one for $50. Brand new. Brand spanking new. Make sure that it has a wiped brand new operating system on it. go download the wallet of your choice. You can download CentB. Just make sure they give you a seed phrase, okay? So that can be CentB, it could be Simply Cash, and any number of wallets that give you your seed phrase on BSV. You write that seed phrase down, you make sure you keep it somewhere secure. Then you generate a public key address. This is your receive address. You test it, make sure that it works, make sure you can send money in and out of that wallet. Once you have tested that, turn that wallet off forever. Turn the phone off forever. Put that phone in a drawer and make sure it never goes online again. You can send your savings to that phone forever. And it's safe. That is a hardware. That's really all a hardware wallet is doing, is it's working as a signing key for you. So that's a good option for you. It is cheaper than most of these options. And frankly, a good smartphone is more secure than a lot of these things too, because they're using state-of-the-art cryptography for the fact of the matter that it's a phone. Like it is already quite a secure thing itself. So that's where we're at. Next question, please. Let's keep them rolling. Does the argument against scaling Bitcoin, such as argued by James Donald against Satoshi, trace itself back to previously existing ideological divides? What is the implication of that divide? Good question, Brett. So it does. So Bitcoin, it's funny because Bitcoin is only really a novel invention because of a couple of simple things. If I were to really, really break it down to what is the one thing that made Bitcoin actually unique, it's probably the difficulty adjustment. So I don't think, as far as I'm aware, that all the pre-Bitcoin cryptocurrencies, they did not have a difficulty adjustment. And well, there's a few other things that then means is that there was no competitive consensus, which means there was some kind of trust involved in the mint and distribution of the assets. And so this means that every preceding blockchain or distributed database or whatever crypto cash system that existed before Bitcoin, they were not sufficiently decentralized and they were not competitive. And therefore they did not work. This is why they failed. It's not just like 2 or 3, it's dozens of cryptocurrency projects that started as far back as like the late 1970s on proposals for these things, all the way through the 90s. Like there was a big uptick in the 90s and then it kind of dipped off for a while. And then 2008, Satoshi Nakamoto shows up and is like, "Hey, I solved distributed electronic cash, this cash system." Which, of course, anybody that was familiar with the history, and that was a group that would have been basically familiar with the history, including some people that had invented their own cryptocurrencies in the past, them basically saying, yeah, this isn't going to work. Like, I'm not even going to read your paper because you probably are going to make the same stupid mistake that Nick made and that Eamon made and all these other people that are hanging out in the forums. They know each other. It was a very, very small community at the time. So James Donald, if he were to just not read the white paper and he were to bet that Bitcoin was a bad idea, the odds makers on that would bet that James Donald was right because, well, if you've tried 50 times and it hasn't worked, what are the odds this one's going to be anything different? And so I'd be willing to bet that that's the most basic version of what actually happened there. And, going forward, he basically informed the small blocker argument. Everything that James Donald said to Satoshi on day one of them debating was exactly the arguments that are still being had by small blockers explaining, okay, so Bitcoin doesn't scale, and so everybody needs to run a node, and here's how you set it up on your mom's computer, and blah, 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 blah. It's James Donald basically informed the small blocker community and their whole narrative about what Bitcoin is and how it works, and this is how you do this and that. And so it's really, really unfortunate, actually, because Satoshi fought with him vehemently. But you see the same thing. Like Luke Dash Jr. just this last week was saying the exact same thing. He's like, well, yeah, Satoshi wrote a section about SPV, but SPV doesn't work. We know it doesn't work. Satoshi was wrong. Done. And so that's it. Like this is what this is what it's turned into. Now, if you're a small blocker, if you just parrot the things that James Donald said to Satoshi, you're a rhetoricist of the small blocker community. And so there you have it. That's where we're at. Thanks for the question, Brett. Let's get another one. Actually, if we could play an ad or something real quick, I would like to rest my vocal cords for a moment and take a sip of water. So we'll be right back.
And now it's time for the meme of the week.
Relatable. All right, let's I think it was Face had a question up as I pivoted. I have a libertarian question. Since we as Bitcoiners believe in the free market, should SBF have been arrested? And if not, at what point does the market regulate itself? Or do we burn witches again? Well, Sam Bankman-Fried is a witch. So, no, I think... So here's the thing. And there are a few kinds of libertarians, which is the problem. It's like when you say, well, like, he's a liberal. And it's like, well, okay, is he a liberal from Denmark, or is he a liberal from California, or is he a liberal from, Alabama or something? These are all going to have very different value sets, despite the fact that they're all technically fall under the umbrella of liberal. So a libertarian can be a lot of things. A libertarian can be a minimalist that, like, hey, we need to have courts for, to deal with violent crime and these kind of things, but ultimately we don't need like all this other structure and stuff. So I'm going to make kind of I'm going to answer this as me, but not necessarily speaking for all libertarians. In my opinion, Sam Bankman-Fried is a thief. Like, he used a complex means to rob people. So when we talk about fraud and all these other things, like, these are really just fancy words for he took your money, told you what he was going to do with it, and then did something else with it that ultimately ended up lining his pockets. So it's theft. And ultimately, if you rob a person, there needs to be a consequence for that. Now, what is that consequence? This is where we get into the deep minutia of libertarian, like, well, should we burn a witch, right? And it's like, morally, at a certain point, like, if a guy just can't stop stealing, like, yeah, maybe we should. But from a legal standpoint or enforcement standpoint or whatever, it's like, this is why things like police and courts and prisons and these kind of things ended up being outsourced, and why things became governments in the first place. These things were actually private services that ended up saying, like, let's all consolidate. And if we consolidate, we will call this thing a monolithic state. Or a monolithic federal in our case. And then, you can move to a place like Texas if you want people to get the electric chair more often, or you can move to California if you just want people to be rehabilitated forever. And, this allows you to take a little bit of a regional take on your values. So it's like, hey, you know what? I really like Rhode Island's values, so I'm going to live in Rhode Island. But it's not that easy to do, because, like, a lot of people might really like living in South Florida, like myself, but they are not like red AF MAGA Republicans, which is kind of the vibe that you get from, you moved to Florida? That must be terrifying. And, in some ways it is. And so it's a very, it's a very difficult question to answer. The most basic answer is that if Sam Bankman-Fried robs people serially and he cannot pay them restitution, he needs to be punished in some way. Morally, there is a moral imperative to stop him from hurting more people. Whose job is that? Depends. I would say it falls first on the bravest man in the community. But if we're going to outsource these kind of things to the government in the first place, then it's like, okay, I can't go get my money back from Sam Bankman-Fried, or all of a sudden, I'm engaged in like assault or kidnapping, and then that's its whole other problem. But that's a problem that's created by the state, right? Like, if he robbed me, I have a right to get my money back. I don't have a right to, torture him to death. And again, I'm probably given half a dozen examples now, which shows exactly why we have professional lawyers, which has all of their own problems, but it's the what ifs. And if you have to ask what if 5 or 6 times, well, you just created a career for people to graduate from law school. And you know what? I will debate on your behalf. And so all that to say that for me, libertarianism is about principle. It's about applying my morals and my ethics onto reality. Like, I am not looking to make a systemic change. I don't want to insert my systemic libertarian ideas into the government so that those ideas are forced on other people. I just want to have my ethics used in my life, and I want more people to become more libertarian because they choose to behave that way, because they see the value of those ideas. And then over time, maybe we all just get a little better because of it. So that's my take. Thank you for the question. Next one. Denmark mentioned, let's go. Yes. SBF wasn't arrested because he is a Fed. Yeah, there's plenty of conspiracy theories about Sam that probably are even true. They have a lot of proximity to like the Clintons and all kinds of other things. So, hi, Mohammed from Michigan. Can I get a shout out for being the only person in Michigan who owns BSV? I know like 3 other people from Michigan for sure who own BSV. Just saying. So, Gavin, X-Space coming this Friday at 11 a.m. Eastern with Kurt Wuckert Jr. on investing, BTC Conundrum. Okay, yeah. So Gavin and I spoke. Gavin's become something of a friend. But we've been communicating increasingly. I think we met in Dubai actually, but we've been talking more and more often since meeting in San Francisco. And we did a space last week that was really interesting, got into some deep philosophy and a bunch of other stuff. And he asked me if I would like to come back and have another chat this Friday. So I said yes, and you should join us. And bring in your questions. I'm the Spaces format is growing on me just a little bit. I don't love it. I still don't love it, but it's growing on me. All right, next one, please. Totally off topic. Do you still have your Sportster? I'm asking because I just bought one and I love it. No, I sold my Sportster. So I had a very cool Harley Davidson Sportster. It was the 48, they call it the 48 edition. So it's got like this very cool bobber stripped down look. I had the orange peanut tank and the whole thing. It was a beautiful motorcycle. I bought it when I still lived in Chicago, rode it quite a bit, really had a lot of fun. When I moved to Florida, I realized that Florida might have the most dangerous drivers in the world. So maybe not the world. I've seen, the way they drive in like India, and that's scarier. But with the kids and all that stuff, it just was like, you know what, this is way too risky, and decided to just let it go. So no, I sold it. I sold it about a year ago, unfortunately, and it still hurts. I loved that motorcycle. It was very cool. So, enjoy yours. It's a great bike. So I hope you're well. Be safe. Wear a helmet. Next one. Where do you see Velo price prediction? I have no idea. Outside of my pay grade. Not my thing. Next one, please. We are bringing back the Crusades and PSV. All right. That's cool. I'd go to war with King Baldwin. Let's invade Jerusalem. Is BSV ever going mainstream and see mass adoption? The Bitcoin boomer, is that Bill? It might be Bill. I think so. Well, okay. The caveat. This is back to like the first question of the day. Either we win, and I've said this for years too. Either BSV wins because it's the best idea, or some other blockchain adopts all of BSV's ideas and they win because those are the best ideas in blockchain. That's it. Those are the ways forward. That's how I see it. Next one, please. Got private chat from Mr. Vidal. Take your time. All right. More questions would be appreciated. Long, intense questions about very important topics. So I have about 16 minutes to fill, and frankly, I'd like to fill them with something delightful. Who is Dennis Porter, the co-founder of the Satoshi Action Fund? And does he have any connections with Cøbra? So I very, very vaguely know Dennis. I've seen him speak a couple of times. He used to have a podcast called Smart People Shit. This is what I think he called it, which I hated the title of. I thought that was terrible. And so I always thought he was just like kind of annoying, but then actually hearing him talk, he really understands the economics of hash power and why hash power is a net good for the environment and for the world. So when he talks about the hashing economy and Bitcoin mining as an industry and its proximity to the power industry and green energy and all these other things, he is very, very, very good on those topics. I don't think I've personally met him. I have seen him speak in person. I go to kind of lots of mining conferencey stuff because I'm in the mining business myself. I don't typically announce I'm going because I have lots of enemies, and I've been locked out of some of these things before. Like I'll be coming up and they're, oh, hey, Kurt, well, we're full, click, like don't look at him, everybody. But no, I basically like Dennis. I wouldn't say that that I can overtly point out to a thing that I dislike about. I'm sure there's plenty that I would actually dislike about him if I got into it, especially if we were to ask him like, hey, what are your thoughts on BSV and big blocks and what, like, I don't know. So I don't know him to be an ally at all, but I also don't know him to be an enemy. And I have no idea if he has any connections with Cøbra. So I'd be curious to hear why you asked. Do you have more information? Please let us know. According to Roadmap, Teranode should now be 7 weeks into public beta and completing private beta mining on the mainnet. Docs for miners and devs should also be finished. Can we get an update? So I am not officially with the Teranode team, although I do communicate with them. They have been in very good communication with us as a node operator. Teranode is actually live on mainnet in a listening capacity. Nobody's mining with Teranode, but there are Teranode listeners on the network, and they have been for a number of weeks. I don't know exactly how long. And it's been in testnet mining for like this private beta mining for quite a long, it's like 6 months or something. So seems to be going very well mining on the testnet, and the mainnet listening also seems really good. So far it's been green pastures as far as I can tell. But also it's still very much a beta project. Like if you talk to Siggy, and I do a bit, he will tell you like, yeah, we're really excited, but also we've got it's on him to make sure that all the edge cases are worked out. But no, actually it's been quite a successful pivot, a lot of good experimenting going on, and so far everything I've seen has been very bullish. And when we find an issue, it is dealt with quickly and professionally. So no, I'm super pumped, very bullish. Teranode slated to go live in December, I believe. As far as I can tell. What is the date of the largest transaction made on chain by? I'm not sure on the dates, but we have seen the report came out from Aerospike, which is a database management solution. They're a separate company that provides this as a service, and they do really efficient database management. So it's a service essentially that you can buy a license to and install it into your system. They were talking about billions of transactions a day. I forget what the transaction per second number was, but I think it was close to 3 million transactions per second. And that was pretty cool. So, but off the top of my head, I don't know, because it's changing very rapidly. Like just 3 months ago, it was like, yeah, we're at like almost 1 million. And then it was like, oh, cool, we've nailed 2 million. And if I recall, Aerospike was talking about 3. So if that progress means anything, it's a good thing. So what does Teranode listening mean? Okay. So you have 2 kinds of node clients, right? Well, there's a few more, but so you have like light client stuff. You have things that are part of the network, but not contributing to the network. So you have your center of the network are nodes that build blocks. They write to the blockchain. These are block building nodes, or we could call them miners. The ones that you don't want to lose, the ones that can't just come and go, that kind of thing. Or, if they all go away, like the network is going to have some problems. Then you have one step out. You have your closer to the edge of the network are your listening nodes. Those ones are downloading the blockchain. They are keeping a copy of the ledger, but they never write. There's no proof of work being contributed. It's essentially an endpoint. I like to call these endpoints. But people also, they'll call them listening nodes, or they'll call them it's a node client. So they have this like client server relationship. So the center of the network are the servers, and then the listeners are clients. So there's a lot of terminology for them, and it's all a little jumbled because Bitcoiners have a tendency to use the language differently than people would in like standard IT environment. But essentially, it is a node that is fully validating. It is checking the validity of transactions, but it has no ability to orphan or contribute proof of work or build blocks. So hopefully that's clear. Oh, yeah, I got it loud and clear. So cool. Thanks for asking. Next one. Have you prepped for World War III? Should I dox this information? Like, no, I don't have anything. I don't have any food or water or guns or ammunition or no, definitely no seed storage. I like nothing. I have nothing. Please don't come to my house. So I've been kind of a prepster, outdoorsy kind of guy in general for a long time. Okay, so we also need to get to the Corvette question. I'm seeing Andreas have a stroke over here too, but I'm gonna answer the World War III question first. No, I've always I like to camp. I like to hike. So I'm pretty comfortable outdoors. I can definitely build a fire. I can fish. I can hunt, like those kind of things. So I have like the outdoorsman skill set. I'm also pretty proficient with fire. I have a Glock on my desk. I'm not going to show it on the air because I think it might get us demonetized on YouTube. But like, I never don't have my sidearm on me. I have weapons. I have ammunition. And I'm quite capable at like growing food and other things too. Like my wife and I used to keep a very big garden. We haven't since we've had kids, but we're all pretty capable of that too. You know, how more prepared can you be? I mean, like, do I have claymores set up in the lawn? Can I like hit the switch and blow the whole yard up? Maybe. So, but we're gonna leave it at that. I don't know. I'm doing my best. I think I would do better than most. Kurt, should I buy the 2025 Corvette or a Lambo? The Corvette looks exotic. So, I traditionally have always said that Corvette is like the muscle car for guys that have money but no taste. They're pretty cool cars. I like basically the way they look, but it's like, it's the person. It's like the guy that wears a gold watch. It's like objectively gold is really cool and whatever, but it makes you look like you're the old man and you kind of don't actually understand the culture or why something is actually cool. And I don't want this to be criticism. It's like a generational thing for me. Like when I'm 60, I'll probably have a gold watch and a Corvette. Okay. I'm just putting that out there, but I don't know. Something about the Corvette just feels to me like it's not actually the cool guy's car. I like a sleeper. I would be the guy who's like, if I was going to spend that kind of money, I would actually be looking for like, hey, does Mercedes make a weird AMG that I would never see that's faster or cooler than the other ones? Or like, if I'm going to spend that kind of money, like, can I get a BMW? Like Corvette is so passé to me. They're so common that I would find it less cool personally. But here in South Florida, like I'm not far from Miami, like everybody's got a damn Lambo too. So I see Lambos like every day also. So they're also becoming a little bit like, okay, there's another one. And, you know, so it's hard to stand out. I always want to stand out, but that's my thing. So next question, please. See a few goodies. Do you actually believe the BSV statistics on a site called BitScreener? It claims BSV has 58 million hold. Yeah, so that number is accurate. But it's just counting addresses. It's not counting people. It's counting how many addresses there are, which like Cash creates like 9 addresses for every transaction it makes. So there's probably 58 million public keys that have some BSV in them, but that doesn't indicate that it could literally be one person's private keys could have 58 million iterations of public keys. Like that's not it's a metric that needs explaining, unfortunately. Next question. I see a couple people asking me about jujitsu, which I would also like to talk about on the show. So, have you gotten LASIK? Yes, I did. It was like the best $2,000 that I ever spent in my whole life. I used to wear glasses. I got LASIK in 2021. And oh my God, life-changing. Absolutely the best $2,000 I ever spent. Hands down. I recommend it fully. Next one. Got about 4 minutes left. At what age should you start the kiddos training BJJ? It depends on their attention span. So my 5-year-old still is like, can't quite get him. We just tried again like 2 weeks ago, and he's like, nope, there's people in a class. Like I'm out. Let's see. Then we got I'm trying to think the youngest kid I've actually seen. I see 3 and 4-year-olds though. Like if they're good at paying attention, like bring them. So it's about the kid. I mean, if the kid can take directions and use his body, put him in. Like you basically can't be too early. Did Steve Shadders move over to the KENDU coin project? I sure hope so. They would get along great. I don't know. No, Steve's working on that project with Jimmy Wynn. I don't remember what it is, AI or something. What's your view on silver's potential explosion due to the new Samsung silver battery? I think silver is just a good investment, period. There's like 10 times as much paper silver as there is physical silver, which must come into balance at some point. But I don't know. As for new demand, new demand would be great. But we got a lot of paper silver to burn through before silver actually turns bullish. So let's get doing it, boys. Next one, please. We've got about 3 minutes left here. ETA on whether CSW appeal is granted or I have no idea. The legal stuff is outside of my pay grade. I know he gave a letter in sort of appropriate timing to the Bird and Bird people, but I don't know how hard they're going to fight to reject the appeal. I don't know. Hard to know. Sorry. How novel is the UTXO set with respect to digital currency projects that were released prior to Bitcoin, or is UTXO set completely novel? So, unspent transaction outputs, man, it's a very both technical and historical question, and I don't know the real answer. I imagine that the UTXO, so UTXOs are what make Bitcoin cash rather than an account-based system where like, hey, I've got this bucket that has all my transactions in it or all my money in it, like in an account. That's actually how Ethereum works still to this day is how a lot of not blockchain, but just distributed currency systems work because they were payment systems, not cash systems. This is what makes Bitcoin a cash system is that each UTXO, so each output is like an envelope or like its own little wallet. And you're just putting coins, you're dropping sats into envelopes. And then you have all those envelopes are in your wallet. And then you use them to send and make change and whatever else. But it really literally works like, imagine if everything was a penny. And so let's do business in pennies, but digitally, because why not? So there's a pretty good system there. Oh yeah, let's do the comment of the day. Smash the like for Kurt Chads. Let's and the comment of the day is from John Kulisha. Congratulations, got those Polish vibes going. Good stuff. So John, please reach out to Alex Vidal at Costly Signals on X to receive your Champions TCG cards. You will need a hand cash wallet to do that, so make sure you got a hand cash wallet set up beforehand. Everybody, we are at the top of the hour, and I'm going to wrap right at the top of the hour because my voice needs a little bit of a break. I see a couple other questions here. We need some BSV guys to get arrested for street cred. No, I would not like to be arrested. That sounds terrible. I saw somebody ask if I have been choked out before. The answer is yes. I have been choked out a couple of times, not super often. I lack a lot of ego. It generally is the people who are like, I'll just go out. You got to put me out. I have gone out by accident like 2 or 3 times in the whole history of my grappling. And it's funny, the first time I went out, my coach always used to play Van Halen like really, really loud. And so I'm in a triangle choke. It's this training partner that I had, his name was Miguel, and he had long legs and a good triangle choke. And I'm trying to fight that damn triangle choke. and I'm listening to this Van Halen song. And as I go out, it's funny, you go immediately into a very weird, surreal dream state when you get choked out. And I was at a Van Halen concert. And then all of a sudden I drift out of that Van Halen concert. And there's my coach and Miguel standing over me. My coach is rubbing my chest like, hey, Kurt, you're okay. Don't worry. So that's how I woke up from the first time I got choked out. It's pretty good. Is Mr. Moon back in prison? Yes, he's in prison forever. Silver is at $30.08. I see Andreas asking, do I take creatine? Yes, I do take creatine. I take 10 milligrams a day. Fun fact, if you take it at night, it helps you sleep. And then it pulls water into your muscle tissue so you can look like this guy. Ooh, sweaty armpits today. All right, top of the hour. It is 3 p.m. I'm Kurt Wuckert Jr. This has been the CoinGeek Weekly live stream. Thank you so much for watching. Please like, share, hit the alert bell, tell your friends and family, and please be good to each other. It's the only way we all get to win. I will see you next week at 2 p.m. Eastern Standard Time for next week's edition of the CoinGeek Weekly live stream. Anything else? I think we did it. We did it all. All right, everybody. Take care and goodbye.